Lovely to see you, Mr. McFadden. It's been a while. I don't think I've spoken to you since you've become the Work and Pensions Secretary. And I know you've got a big announcement today, £120 million to create 350,000 new workplace opportunities to help the young. However, you're going to have to help the young a bit more, aren't you, Mr. McFadden? Because youth unemployment has actually shot up under Labour, and some are warning it's about to get even worse because of the minimum wage. According to the Centre for Policy Studies, it's now £4,000 more expensive to employ someone aged 18 to 20.
So the rate of young people not in education, employment or training has been going up quite sharply for about 4 years now. The sharpest rise in it was actually before the election. And we need to respond to this because the last thing we want is young people living a life on benefits or not doing anything constructive. So we're coming forward with a package today which we call the Youth Guarantee. It's backed not by 100 million but by 800 million pounds of government investment, and that will offer training places to 300,000 or more of those young people, and ultimately for the long-term young unemployed who are still out of work after 18 months, then a subsidised job, because we want to see young people in the habit of doing the right thing, getting up in the morning, the discipline, the sense of pride and purpose that a job brings. And I think, to be honest, young people have been neglected. They haven't been offered enough help in the past, and we want to put that right with the Youth Guarantee package that we're announcing today.
All right, but isn't it true to say that youth unemployment is a problem, and there are many people who think putting up the minimum wage isn't going to solve it, it's actually going to make it worse, because it's now much more expensive for people to employ people at 18. You'd rather have somebody with a bit more wisdom and experience for the higher minimum wage.
Well, we do understand that for an employer, taking on someone is a risk. We recognise this in the tax system. Any employer who takes on someone under the age of 21 gets a tax break. They don't have to pay employers' national insurance on that. So that is recognised in the tax system as an incentive to take on young people. With regard to the minimum wage, we're proud of the minimum wage. We think people should get a decent wage for turning up and going to work. It's set by the government, but on the recommendation of the Low Pay Commission, and governments of all colours have accepted the recommendations of the Low Pay Commission over the years. It's been a very successful model for the UK, and I don't think it's a good future for young people or for older people to say what we really believe is that your pay should be lower, because as your viewers will know, Camilla, people are finding it tough to pay the bills out there, to make ends meet, and so a decent return for your labour is something that you wouldn't be surprised to hear a Labour government strongly believes in.
Well, I think the GB News viewers and listeners are worried that people these days appear to be better off on benefits than in work. You're talking about getting younger people into work. Let's talk about the welfare bill, Pat McFadden, because it's actually a lie, isn't it, to suggest that you are in any way cutting welfare. Welfare's going to be going up by the course of this Parliament by 70 billion quid.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
So the welfare bill went up 3 times quicker in the last Parliament under the Tories than it's
Let's talk
projected
about
to do
Labour, though.
under this Parliament. In terms of Labour, we have made the biggest change to universal credit for many years by passing legislation which narrows the gap between what you get for being declared unfit for work and what you get when you're fit for work. Under the Tory system that we inherited, that was a difference of double your money, so we've cut that in half by reducing that rate of extra payment for being long-term sick. And the reason we did that is because we do believe that incentives matter. So we took the system from the Tories, which was double your money. We've legislated to change that, so there is change happening in the system.
Yeah, but the Centre for Social Justice has put together a report that no doubt you'll be familiar with, which has crunched the numbers and shows that a family who is working with 3 children would have to earn £71,000 to compete with a family that isn't working but is claiming benefits. What possible incentive is there for people to work if you're actually better off on benefits?
Well, I did look at that example, and unfortunately it's a highly respected think tank, of course, but they didn't compare like with like because they allocated disability payments to the family out of work, but not to the family in work. And many disability payments stay with you whether you're in work or out. So the important thing in these comparisons is to compare like with like and not allocate extra benefits to the family out of work compared to the family in work. So
I did hear that it was challenged. I did hear that it was challenged and that the figure that everyone settled on. No. I did hear that it was challenged by the likes of the Resolution Foundation and the Joseph Rowntree, and it was accepted by all that if you did take account for that it would be £61,000, not 71. The point still remains. You're better off on benefits than you are working unless you earn over 61 grand in that particular setup.
But that's just, look, the universal credit system is designed to make sure you're always better in work. The previous system, people used to lose more or less pound for pound if they took up a job. There's now a taper that means you're better off on a sliding scale if you are taking up work. Oops, forgive me. And that's an important part of the system. Sorry, I'm having some earpiece problems, but we'll keep going.
No, I can see. Mr. McFadden, you have rescued the earpiece. Keep your finger in the ear just so you can continue to hear me. All right, I take your point on benefits. Do you accept the Sun on Sunday's research today that actually the scrapping of the 2-child benefit cap largely benefits migrant families because they're far more likely to have more than 2 children than British citizens or white families? I think it accounts for about 14% of white families have more than 2 children, 41% of Pakistani and Bangladeshi families have more than 2 children, and often the mothers in that family don't work. Those families might be better off if both parents worked.
Look, the problem with the examples quoted is they don't know how many of those people are British citizens at all. Many of them may have become British citizens over the years that they've been here, and many of them may be working because, again, universal credit is a benefit that applies to families both in and out of work, depending on how much they're earning. So again, I think there's a big problem with that because it doesn't take into account how many are British citizens. And there's another important aspect of this, which is that people who come here don't have access to the benefit system until they've been here for 5 years, and we're increasing that to 10 years. because we do believe in the principle of contribution in the benefit system, as I'm sure a lot of your viewers do too.
All right, let's have a quick chat about the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. So we now know that she lied in her CV. There's claims that she lied in the budget. She wasn't ever the under-14s chess champion. She actually came 24th out of 36. So why is she still in post when she's got this quite difficult relationship, seemingly, Pat McFadden, with the truth?
She's in post because she's an excellent Chancellor who's put the country's finances on a stable footing. She's getting more investment into the country, and she's helping people with the cost of living. That's why she's in post.
Well, she's taxing people by the tune of £26 billion more, having insisted that she wouldn't put taxes up on working people. I hope you're not going to say to me, Pat McFadden, with all of your wealth of political experience, that you're not taxing working people, because you clearly are, and it's largely to go towards paying people who aren't working benefits, isn't it?
No, it's not. I mean, all the taxation in the country comes together for the things that we need, and we had to turn the corner on the NHS, which we're doing with waiting lists down for the first time in years. We had to keep up the investment in the transport system, in building new houses. There are things to be done in the country. We've got to increase defence expenditure because of the situation in Europe. So taxation goes to all those things right across the board.
If the Chancellor and the Prime Minister are doing such a great job, why are they now historically unpopular as far as the electorate's concerned? The Prime Minister's approval rating is tanking. Rachel Reeves is the least popular Chancellor in history, and I'm including Kwasi Kwarteng in that.
Well, look, let's talk about that in a few years' time. In the moment, I don't mind.
Well, can we talk about it now?
The polls are the way they are, as long as we're doing the right thing. And we are doing the right thing with some of the things that we've been discussing. We want to help people with the cost of living. They're going to see £150 cut in their energy bills. They're going to see rail fares frozen. They're going to see an increase in the minimum wage, as we spoke about a few moments ago, because we understand that the cost of living is hurting people. And we need to turn around our NHS, which the whole country relies on. So governments are elected to make the decisions. They're not always popular at the time. The time to judge the government is when the next election comes.
All right, Pat McFadden, thank you very much indeed for that. Final, very quick question, because we're running out of time.
My pleasure.
Have you postponed those mayoral elections because you're doing so badly in the south of England, down to 14%? Just very quickly.
No, I'd quite like them so we could see what different parties are like when they're in power. It's a good test, and some people thought they could do it, and they're finding it a bit harder than they thought.